Get ready to unravel the mysteries and miracles surrounding the life of this extraordinary saint, known for his devotion, compassion, and miraculous powers. Discover how a young man born as Fernando Martins transformed into one of the most influential saints in history, with his life filled with extraordinary achievements and divine intercessions. Here are 10 intriguing facts about Saint Anthony of Padua. 10. Birth and education. Fernando Martins de Bulhos, better known as Saint Anthony of Lisbon or Saint Anthony of Padua, was born around 1195 in Lisbon, Portugal. His family belonged to the nobility and enjoyed a high social position. His parents, Martinho de Alfonso and Maria Tavera, were wealthy, providing Fernando with a comfortable environment during his childhood. Young Fernando was baptized with the name Fernando Martins de Bulhos. His education began at the Cathedral School of Lisbon, where he had access to a comprehensive education in various fields of knowledge. The Cathedral School provided a conducive environment for learning, offering teachings in both classical and religious disciplines. Throughout his education, Fernando demonstrated remarkable intelligence and interest in academic studies. His inclination towards religious life became evident early on, and he developed a deep devotion to the Christian faith. This religious fervor eventually led him to join the Order of Canons Regular of St. Augustine. The decision to dedicate himself to religious life marked a crucial point in his life. He left his family and worldly life to pursue a spiritual vocation. Subsequently, he became known as Saint Anthony after joining the Franciscan order. 9. Religious calling and monastic beginnings. Despite enjoying a promising social position and belonging to a noble and wealthy family in Lisbon, Fernando Martins de Bulhos experienced a religious calling that would shape the course of his life. Feeling compelled to dedicate himself to the spiritual life, he forsake the worldly prospects his social status could offer and chose to pursue a religious vocation. Fernando began his monastic journey by enrolling in the Augustinian monastery of São Vicente de Fora, where the Canons Regular of St. Augustine sought a life of contemplation and religious service. This was the first step towards fulfilling his spiritual quest, but he realized that his yearning for theological knowledge led him to seek a more conducive environment for the development of his understanding of faith. In search of a deeper theological culture, Fernando transferred to the monastery of Santa Cruz, located in Coimbra. This monastery was known for its intellectual atmosphere and focus on theological study. At Santa Cruz, Fernando had the opportunity to enhance his academic formation, especially in areas related to theology and philosophy. 8. Transition to the Franciscan order. Fernando Martins de Bulhos's transition to the Franciscan order marks a significant chapter in his religious life. In 1219, he had an encounter that transformed his spiritual journey when 5 Franciscan friars were martyred in Morocco. The death of these friars deeply inspired Saint Anthony, who, witnessing their courage and humility, felt an even stronger calling to join the order of Saint Francis. Moved by the example of these 5 Franciscan brothers, Saint Anthony welcomed them with great devotion and was inspired by their humility and selflessness. This experience was a catalyst for his decision to leave the Augustinian order and join the Franciscan order, where he saw the opportunity to live a life closer to the ideal of poverty and simplicity promoted by Saint Francis of Assisi. However, Saint Anthony's transition to the Franciscan order was not without challenges. During this period, political and ecclesiastical conflicts between the King of Portugal and the Pope directly impacted the Franciscan community in Portugal. These conflicts often resulted in tensions and instabilities within the religious orders. Furthermore, the influence of the death of the 5 Franciscan fathers in Morocco resonated deeply in the Franciscan community and in Saint Anthony. This tragic event not only reinforced his commitment to the Franciscan order but also solidified his determination to follow in the footsteps of the martyrs, dedicating himself to a life of renunciation and selfless service. 7. Transition to the Franciscans and journey to Africa. As part of his adoption into the Franciscan order, Fernando Martins de Bulhos changed his name to Anthony, in honor of Saint Anthony the Abbot, an Egyptian saint known for his ascetic life and devotion to monastic living. This gesture symbolized the new spiritual identity that Anthony was adopting by joining the Franciscans, reflecting his commitment to the ideals of simplicity, poverty, and service. Subsequently, Anthony expressed his desire to undertake a mission in Africa, specifically in Morocco, with the aim of preaching the gospel to Muslims and possibly attaining martyrdom. However, his mission in Morocco was interrupted by an illness that weakened him, forcing him to return to Portugal. Anthony's illness prevented him from continuing his mission in Morocco but, at the same time, paved the way for a significant turn in his life. His return to Portugal led to new opportunities for service and preaching. He began to preach and teach in different regions of Portugal, standing out for his eloquence, wisdom, and profound theological knowledge. 6. Involvement in the Franciscan order. Saint Anthony's involvement in the Franciscan order was marked by a series of significant events that shaped his spiritual and ministerial journey. In 1221, Saint Anthony participated in the chapter of the Mats in Assisi. Chapters were regular meetings where members of the Franciscan order gathered to discuss administrative, spiritual, and disciplinary matters. The chapter of the Mats was particularly notable as the first general chapter of the order after the death of Saint Francis of Assisi. Saint Anthony's participation in this chapter reflects his commitment and active involvement in the life of the order from the early years of his affiliation. Following this chapter, Saint Anthony expressed a desire to live in solitude and penance, further focusing on the Franciscan life of simplicity and devotion. He sought a remote and isolated place to dedicate himself to contemplation and the practice of penance. However, divine providence had other plans for him. Fate led Saint Anthony to a small church near Forli, where he encountered other Franciscan friars who encouraged him to resume his public activities as a preacher. Reluctantly, he agreed, thus marking the beginning of his public career and itinerant apostolate. Saint Anthony soon distinguished himself as an eloquent and charismatic preacher. His ability to articulate Christian teachings in an accessible and inspiring manner made him widely recognized and respected. He traveled through various regions of Italy, preaching to crowds and challenging the faithful to a life of conversion and devotion. His itinerant apostolate was not limited to preaching alone. Saint Anthony also dedicated significant efforts to social assistance, helping the less fortunate and advocating for the oppressed. His compassion and dedication to social causes were a natural extension of his Franciscan principles of selfless service and love for others. 5. Preaching and pastoral activities. Saint Anthony of Padua stood out as a notable speaker and eloquent preacher, playing a crucial role in the pastoral activities of the Catholic Church during his lifetime. His exceptional ability to communicate the truths of the faith in an accessible and inspiring manner made him widely recognized and respected. Saint Anthony was known for his vibrant and passionate sermons that drew eager crowds to hear his words. He often addressed topics related to the morality of the time, combating vices and encouraging conversion. His message emphasized the importance of humility, charity, and the need to turn away from sins to achieve a life closer to Christian teachings. Saint Anthony not only preached about morality but also actively engaged in the life of the communities where he was present. He sought to guide people in their spiritual lives, offering practical advice and promoting a deeper understanding of the faith. In addition to his pastoral activities, Saint Anthony was known for performing miracles that affirmed the sacramental presence in the Eucharist. There are various stories and accounts of miracles associated with him, including the famous incident in which a skeptical man reportedly left his donkey without food for 3 days to test the validity of the sacrament of the Eucharist. Saint Anthony then presented the sacred host to the donkey, which, instead of attacking it as it would with ordinary food, reportedly genuflected before the most blessed sacrament. These miracles not only strengthened the faith of the communities where Saint Anthony preached but also solidified his reputation as a saint with a special connection to the sacramental presence of Christ in the Eucharist. 4. Preaching in Padua and miracles. Saint Anthony's preaching period in Padua, Italy, was marked by extraordinary success during Lent, further solidifying his reputation as an exceptional and charismatic preacher. During the Lenten season of 1231, Saint Anthony was invited to preach in Padua. His sermons attracted immense crowds, surpassing expectations, and churches often proved insufficient to accommodate all who wished to hear his words. His remarkable ability to articulate the truths of the Catholic faith in an accessible and engaging manner contributed significantly to the success of his preaching. In addition to its spiritual impact, Saint Anthony's preaching also had notable social repercussions. He actively engaged in social and moral issues, promoting reconciliation among conflicting parties, restoring peace in divided communities, and bringing about profound transformations in people's lives. His commitment to Christian ethics and the promotion of social justice manifested tangibly, making him not only a spiritual leader but also an influential figure in the social sphere. The miracles associated with Saint Anthony were numerous and varied. He was known for performing miraculous healings, intervening in situations of imminent danger, and even calming storms. Reports of his miracles contributed to popular devotion and reinforced his reputation as a saint with a special connection to the divine. After Saint Anthony's death in 1231, accounts of appearances in dreams and visions began to spread. Many people claimed to have received special graces after invoking Saint Anthony in prayer. These spiritual experiences reinforced the belief in Saint Anthony's powerful intercession and contributed to his rapid canonization. 3. Final moments and death. The final moments and death of Saint Anthony were marked by notable events that have become an integral part of his veneration as a saint. One of the most well-known episodes involves a miracle attributed to Saint Anthony. According to tradition, a young man named Leonardo, residing in Padua, had his foot amputated due to an accident. Desperate, he invoked the intercession of Saint Anthony. In response to his fervent prayers, Saint Anthony reportedly appeared to him in a dream, restoring his foot. This miracle, known as the miracle of the amputated foot, became an integral part of devotion to Saint Anthony. In the last days of his life, Saint Anthony was in Camposampiero, where he collapsed due to physical exhaustion. Sensing his imminent death, he expressed the desire to return to Padua, the place where he had achieved great success in his preaching and pastoral activities. During his journey back to Padua, Saint Anthony stopped in Arcella, on the outskirts of Padua, at the house of a friend named Tiso. There, he spent his final moments. As death approached, Saint Anthony requested to be placed in a simple Franciscan habit, lay on the bare ground, and asked to be positioned before the crucifix. He wished to die contemplating the cross of Christ. In his final moments, Saint Anthony reported having a vision of the Lord. He conversed with Jesus, and in his last words, he expressed his confidence in divine mercy. On the afternoon of June 13, 1231, Saint Anthony passed away. He was only 36 years old. 2. Mourning and Burial. The death of Saint Anthony on June 13, 1231, caused significant popular commotion. His fame as a preacher, miracle worker, and virtuous man spread rapidly, not only locally but in various regions. The news of his departure left a devout and admiring community in mourning. After Saint Anthony's death, disputes arose over the location of his burial. Several cities, including Padua, Lisbon, and Coimbra, claimed the privilege of housing the mortal remains of the beloved Franciscan friar. The city of Padua, where Saint Anthony had achieved great success in his pastoral activities and preaching, was eventually chosen as the site of his burial. The decision was largely made due to the strong emotional connection between Saint Anthony and the city where he had carried out much of his apostolate. The burial of Saint Anthony in Padua became an event of great significance and emotion. The local population and believers from neighboring regions gathered to pay their respects to the saint. The burial process was accompanied by an atmosphere of piety and devotion, reflecting the esteem in which Saint Anthony was held. In a remarkable gesture, many faithful gathered in Padua to send letters attesting to miracles and graces obtained through the intercession of Saint Anthony after his death. These letters were sent to Pope Gregory IX as part of the canonization process for the saint. The abundance of reports of miracles and graces witnessed by devotees of Saint Anthony played a significant role in the rapid canonization of the Franciscan friar. Saint Anthony's tomb in the Basilica of Saint Anthony in Padua became a sacred pilgrimage site, attracting believers from around the world. Devotion to Saint Anthony remains strong, and his burial site remains a focal point for devotees seeking his intercession and veneration. 1. Canonization. The canonization of Saint Anthony was swift and took place just 1 year after his death in 1232, at the hands of Pope Gregory IX. Devotion to Saint Anthony has grown over the centuries, making him one of the most venerated and popular saints in the Catholic tradition. His feast day is celebrated on June 13, and the Basilica of Saint Anthony in Padua has become a significant pilgrimage site, attracting believers from around the world seeking his intercession and blessings. And thus concludes the story of Saint Anthony of Padua. I hope you have enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next video.